Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's Danny Limelight. And I need all of you to subscribe to According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and all other platforms.
What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege to be joined again by the intrepid traveler prior to COVID. I said prior, I don't know why, but she is the owner and impresario of Fierce Females in Scotland. She's the one and only BigFemVader, Ayesha Raymond. What's going on?
Hello, how are you? There was a t-shirt thing up like there, but it dropped down, man.
We'll fix that later. An apron and all that, and I'm sure some kind of Cro-Magnon idealistic person of, I guess, morals or lack thereof is probably rejoicing that your flag, Fierce Females, became essentially an apron.
So yeah, pretty much.
Screw him.
He's trying to help. That's my partner. He's trying to help. Hiding his face from the camera, but he's gonna try and help.
That's great. I love it, man. So obviously we're doing this at the, this is your favorite WrestleMania, right?
Yes, this is the WrestleMania of my generation, and probably saying that now reveals my age, which no one should ever know. But to me, this was the very last WrestleMania that had everything. From top to bottom, you had storylines, you had meaningful introductions, you had celebrity interactions that actually meant something for no random reason. I mean, you even had the gimmick battle royal, which for me, I hate clowns, but it was something. It was bringing back everything. But yeah, this is my mania. This in 19.
Yeah, and it's funny because watching it back, I forgot how fun wrestling used to be. Wasn't a chore to sit through this mania. And nothing against the performers or what have you, but you spoke about, storylines and all that. This one was amazing. This one was really fun. I forgot how fun it was because much like my favorite mania, WrestleMania 10, this is something that I went to the video store and rented a bunch of times, and I literally kind of cleared out the tape because of how many times I watched it and how fun it was. It was just fun to be a wrestling fan. That was a time where we were like, oh my gosh, 3 hours of Raw, that'd be great. 9 hours of first run TV per week. Yeah, man. During this time.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
this time.
Even these were the times where you used to stay up at, for me, Mania was either 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. depending on the time difference. And this is before it was 3 or 4 hours, but you would watch Heat, you would rewatch Raw. So that's already adding on even more time. I was perfectly fine staying up all night and having 20 minutes of sleep to go to school in the morning. That was fine for me. That was cool.
Yeah, now you're getting caught up in your sleep. So kudos to that.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, Vince McMahon. Good God. But I mean, first match of the night. This one is a fun one. Again, we had William Regal, right? And he was taking on, oh God, I blanked in. Who the fuck was he taking on?
How do you blank? It was Jericho.
Oh yeah.
P? You don't remember the P? I remember the P.
Okay. Yeah, I might have remembered where, Chris Jericho's money in terms of campaign funding went, and that's where I blanked.
But you must remember the P and the T. I mean, that's what drove the stereotype. That was the storyline alone. It was the English, pompous, aristocratic William Regal being completely defiled and defined by the rock star mentality of not even Chris Jericho, it was Y2J. And there is a difference. I don't care what anyone says. There's a difference.
Yeah, no, 100%. And even the fact oh man, I was looking back at it, right? And I know Roman Reigns is the guy now. Jinder Mahal was, a champion, and actually dropped the title in the UK. So I think that's fun. But why the hell wasn't Regal a champion somewhere? Like, God, he's so brilliant. He's brilliant now as the NXT general manager, but just like the shoot holds, there was like he was throwing kicks. William Regal throwing kicks. Like that made me like keenly aware that he wanted to win this fucking fight. And again, it was a fight. It was fun in the interludes and everything, the chain wrestling. I think there was like a one-handed mare that happened. You know, he
The
kind of
exploder from the corner that looked like I thought Jericho was going to clear the ring. I really did.
yeah. And then I was just like, you know, because there was an overtone because the Monday before this Mania was the infamous, you know, the simulcast of WCW and WWE Raw and Nitro.
Shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
They should have waited 2 months.
Oh, I guess you wanted like the Eric Bischoff Fusion Media group to fucking resurrect WCW and all that jazz. Is that
No, it's just it didn't need it. We'll get into that when we get to that match, but it didn't. The storyline didn't need it. It didn't need it.
Yeah,
Pointless.
I mean, again, I think it's fun, and the fact that, God, Regal, you know, in terms of what the current day, you know, classifications of what a champion is, which I fucking don't know anymore. But geez, I wish that rubric basically panned because I'm sorry, you know, I'd rather Regal than a Drew. I'd rather Regal than a Sheamus, 100%.
Yeah, but Regal was we're lucky enough at least we got the King Regal stage after this time had passed. But all we have to remember is he was the guy that opened the door for us. Like, even though it started off with WCW, when for us, for Brit Rest, you know, if you're not a Regal fan, then you don't know wrestling. I'm gonna Biden this one. If you're not a Regal fan, you don't know wrestling, and it's a fact. That's it.
Yeah, man, and I was surprised, you know, Jericho picking up a win, and especially via the Lion Salt, which in kind of recent years, I mean, I think every company that Jericho has wrestled on, he's fucked up the Lion Salt, right? Like completely almost landed on his neck, and thankfully his opponents of any given time he does this, well, they fucking save him. They save him from like Hayabusa, you know. But it was just weird to see him do that. And of course, he was a lot more nimble back then. We're talking damn near what, 20 years ago,
Yeah,
almost. Yeah. So, but it was just weird to see that.
I mean, even I think it's the Japanese training. All those neck bridges, your neck basically becomes like a rubber band. So, like, I don't think he's noticed the amounts of times he's probably fallen. So
yeah. So I mean, my benchmark in terms of WrestleMania openers, you know, that's Brett Owen at WrestleMania 10, right? But God, this is fucking great. It was amazing.
yes. I mean, it for me, it was like 10, just because it's Regal and Jericho in one match, and you know, again, that was like 1 a.m. in the morning for me, and the fact that I got to see two of my heroes at the start of Mania after that massive opener and the fireworks and the confetti and everything, I was just like 10, thank you, I'm awake, 10.
Yeah, no, 100%. Now, you know, before we kind of move on to the next one, I forgot that on the pre-show, I guess this was on Sunday Night Heat, where we had X Factor, the team of Just Incredible, X Pac, flanked by Albert. Yeah, Matt Bloom, Lord Tensai. But the head of the PC right now, head coach Matt Bloom, right? And they defeated Grandmaster Sexay and Steve Blackman, the Lethal Weapon. Wow.
I know.
That's a lot to unpack.
I know. I mean, for me, I wasn't always a fan of Blackman because I couldn't get the integration in my head until I got older between, I just like, do something else. That's how it was for me. And Grandmaster Sexay, I mean, too cool. I mean, you just wanted to see him dance, to be fair. But just the mix match of all these different people, it kind of just, I mean, if I flash back to the match, and I'll now rewatch it because you've told me to, it probably just makes my brain hurt.
Yeah, no, 100%. So obviously that only went 3 minutes. 3 minutes with entrances, like
uh,
2 minutes and 46 seconds. So that was just kind of a quick thing to kind of get the crowd hyped, before they turned that red light on and did the whole
mm,
promo package. And that's another thing. The promo package was fantastic. You had like hillbilly guy watching on a little TV in the barn.
it just
If you
breaks your heart.
watch WrestleMania, free network, free Peacock network, or whatever. It's just weird. It's all weird.
You've, for me, and it's always been this way for me, and it's really weird. Like I still can't get over when they flash to the Asian continent side, and they've got all those guys cheering for Yokozuna. I'm like, but he's
Yep.
we'll just bypass. Can we just all right? Fast forward that bit. He's
Yeah. And then
not Japanese.
and then also kind of after we get the first promo package, we get the song, the official song of WrestleMania 17, Limp Bizkit's My Way, which that would be the only integration of Limp Bizkit that we would get on this show. But we'll get to that. But geez, I love Limp Bizkit. I mean, Fred Durst might be a douche. Wes Borland might be so weird. Okay, it's fine. It's great. I think I saw them live one time, and Fred Durst was so like inebriated that he basically they had it was the Family Values tour after Korn left and went to Ozfest, and they had
Mhm.
like, almost like a what is it like the Super Zord that all the Mighty Morphin Leaders.
Oh yeah, the Megazord things.
Yeah, so that was the stage, and like John Otto, the drummer, DJ Lethal was playing on the shoulder. John Otto was in the chest plate and everything like that. And fucking Fred Durst was so fucked up that he fell over. It was messed up. But this was also the same show that the dearly departed DMX actually got booed off of the stage, and it made like international news because the next. So basically, that era of family values that the A towns, right, like the bigger arenas, they got exhibits who was coming off of Hit My Ride, right? Um, Papa Roach and then Limp Bizkit headlining. But the B towns, which the Fabulous Forum, the Great Western Forum of old in Inglewood, California, I thought they had a better show. We had DMX, Godsmack, and Limp Bizkit. Good God, if that doesn't sound like early 2000s to you, fuck,
I know.
I don't know what does, right? But yeah, DMX got booed off the stage because again, you have bikers and then rap rockers for Limp Bizkit, and he's saying the Lord's Prayer, and they booed him off the stage, and
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
Same show, and then like the main event was Fred Durst and tripping over Roland. He couldn't. They had like the dancers that are dressed up like him and biggie pants and like with cups and whatever, and he almost tripped over that moves. Fantastic.
Wow. No, for me, I mean, Limp Bizkit was okay, but I personally enjoyed Saliva more. Saliva for me were the best WE bands when they did the music. That was mine. That was mine.
Yeah, yeah, man. There we go. So in the second match of Mania, right, we had Taz teaming up with the APA against Right to Censor, and the contingent was Bull Buchanan, Godfather, and Val Venus, but they were managed by Stevie Richards, and APA and Taz contingent, they were flanked by Jackie. At the beginning of this match, the they're in the APA, little office and whatever. The damn promo that Brad is amazing. Now, most of the references, again, only for the live crowd, the people that were Texas,
And
or
mostly America, yeah.
something hell of a promo. Like when you look back to like Ultimate Warrior promos and everything now, to then, like as a kid, you're like, oh great, don't know, like, had no like couldn't be further uh, nonsensical blabbering that you could get, right? But and this one was just like, again, I didn't have to know what Bradshaw was talking about or whatever. I got like the Houston Astros deal and him growing up and whatever. And then Jackie, also Texans, and that's one of the things that the commentary team of JR and Paul fucking Heyman, right? That's a weird one. But again, Lawler was on the outs because his wife at the time, Stacey Carter, the cat, got unceremoniously fired. The future endeavor. No, she got fired. This is the days before
Fine.
future endeavoring, and she got fired. He went with her, and that's it. And that's how we got Heyman and Jr. for the first time since like I don't know WCW Saturday Night '91, I think.
Mm. No, I mean, there's a lot for me to comment on. Thank you for filling my brain. No, I mean the dynamic of you had Right the Censor and Taz and the APA, and it was just like, just flashing back to that little office and that door and those little things of having sets upon sets and those little stuff that they used to do within that office. It was just kind of nice to have those little kind of interactions. And then also for me, I personally love seeing the Taz mission every and any time, just because I don't know if it's because of Taz's size and how compact he is. It's just every time he locks it in, you're just like, you can't breathe right now, can you? Anytime, it was just like, I generally felt sorry for that person every time.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a short fat fuck, right? And Taz is my guy. He was built like me. He was way tougher than I was. Yeah, like every time, like it would be hot. I was like in ROTC and whatever, like junior army, and we'd be like twirling rifles, and it would get hot. I would not hesitate to put a towel over my head
Do the dance.
and go like, "Yes, oh, yes. Taz is my guy." And my favorite ECW. I mean, my favorite ECW wrestler. Bar none, like without question. And the suplexes, the Cuban suplex machine. I mean, eons before your Roderick Strong became the Messiah of backbreakers and everything. That was Taz and slams. Like I didn't see slams like that until since like the days of Scott Steiner Big Papa Pump or uh, Furnace and LaFon, like in the mid to late '90s, right? So, and then Regal, obviously Regal,
Yeah.
right? So, I was just loving everything Taz did. I didn't like the weird fucking attire that he had, even though I wanted one of those like billiard shirts and everything like that. But I like that the butcher singlet Taz and beating everybody up. But apparently, like his body was all wrecked and couldn't work out like he used to. It's kind of like watching Rey Mysterio doing that like pleather Under Armour gimmick.
The pleather underarm gimmick. Yeah, okay, yes, that's true. And even like seeing Jackie and seeing Ivory again, for me, I was just like, because you had two women with like years of experience of wrestling background behind them, and they were in that ring literally holding their own against all these guys. There was not one point where when those women were confronted on the offense against any one of those guys that anybody in that arena was worried. Everybody was more scared for the guys than anything else.
And I mean, didn't she? I want to say Jackie hits a DDT on maybe Val Venus, maybe Stevie Richards,
I think
something
it's
like that.
Richards.
Yeah, but it was just fun. And again, the fact that they got this done in like 4 minutes, really, like wham bam, thank you. 4 minutes with 352 with entrances. Again, how fun wrestling used to be. Not everything
Hmm.
had to be like a 5 star or whatever. Everything, to quote The Rock, knew its place and knew its role. Like, that's it. And shut your damn mouth. We went out there and delivered. So I'm not mad at this one.
True.
Yeah, yeah. So we go from that to a triple threat for the Hardcore Championship. We had defending champion Raven, right? and he was defending against Kane and the Big Show, and it was Raven, and he was putting all of his fucking heart full of madness like into the ring. Then you know, I really popped for every time Raven would do the brooding like in the corner, slouch down. I loved it. I hated that he couldn't do it here at Mania, but I get it because like he was halfway putting like a stop sign in, and then the fucking pyro for Kane goes, and it's like okay, all right, I guess whatever. Kane comes charging out. And it's funny because like Big Show doesn't even get a chance, like a half a wit chance, because like this, they had already started the match, and then you hear, "Oh, it's the Big Show," and he comes like kind of lumbering out, I guess.
No, I mean it's the infamous match that almost destroyed Mania. So it's every time I hear that, it just makes me laugh. That one guy could have cost them millions just for a planned spot, but just gone terribly wrong. But for me, as I've spoken about it, my favorite part of the match is the backstage stuff. I mean, nothing for me can top all that backstage stuff with Raven driving around in that car
Yeah,
and him being chased by these two massive giants. It's
yeah,
just like, to me, that was comedy Benny Hill gold.
yeah. And I think this might have been Raven's first Mania since he was managing the Quebecers at Mania 10, right? Mania 10. And unfortunately, that 10-man tag that was supposed to happen didn't happen because I think Razor and Sean and the much fabled ladder match, which doesn't even get talked about in current era in terms of great things, right? Because of how one of the matches that we're going to see later on, of tag teams and everything, that was the first, but after that, it's like this. The ladder match at Mania 10 is almost like the BlackBerry, right? Where like they were the first to develop apps and whatever, and the Hardy Boys and Dudley Boys and whatever, they're like the Apple and Samsung. They figured out a way to fucking optimize the shit, and we don't even remember BlackBerry. We don't even remember, Micros and Razor.
Oh, I know, it's sad, especially when you put it like that.
Yeah, sometimes it bees like that, as Pink said in her debut single, way before she became the Pink that we know now. When she was all hippie hoppy, sometimes it bees like that. So
When she was when she was all hippie hoppy.
yeah, when her hair was actually pink.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, she drove a damn. That should be a spot in wrestling, driving a damn motorcycle into a fucking other building. I'm just saying.
Yeah. To be fair, that would have been an amazing entrance video for Taker if he was going to revert back to Biker Taker.
Well, according to Jerry Lawler, that actually did happen one night at the Mid South Coliseum because I believe it was like the Fabulous Ones, yeah, like Steve Kern and Stan Lane or whatever. Like they were, doing their entrances, and the spotlight hit them, and they went plowing into the crowd. Now this happened in like
Yeah.
late 70s, early 80s, where everything wasn't so happy, and it was Memphis. So again, it wasn't California. Like, you would have a lawyer. If this was California, you'd have a lawyer before you even like hit the showers or shit like that. So, different time, different era, but this, yeah, this fun shit, man. So, this one was like, man, this one was a sleeper hit, right? We had Eddie Guerrero with Perry Saturn of the Radicals, right? And he defeated Test for the European Championship. This goes close to 9 minutes, right? But this is crazy enough. At this point, this is the second longest match of Mania because this one goes 8:30. The previous one was literally the previous match before the hardcore match, and it was 9:17. But that hardcore match was a little bit more gaga. This one was the closest thing to technical wrestling that we saw until we got to the next match.
I mean, it was just, for me, it's sobering to see Test in a ring. It was just weird. And how good he was and how much he could do for the person that for his size, for his stature. Like, this Test moved like he weighed half of his size, or he was half of his size, and he could do things that a big person and a tall person of their stature shouldn't be able to do. And it was just like wasted. Not fair.
Yeah. And it's crazy to think that out of this match, the only person still among us, and he's taken a sabbatical away from Spotlight, is Perry Saturn. It's kind of a sad deal. But you talk about Test. I think he's one of the all-time greats, because when you look at, guys like now, W. Morrissey of Impact Wrestling, but, Big Cass and everything like that. Big Cass couldn't move as quickly and as nimbly as Tested. This was almost the archetype of what we now see in Damian Priest, right? The former Punishment Martinez, like big, long, lanky guy, got a good build, but like agile as all hell. This is not the days of the Giant, where, not the literal Giant, but like Kevin Nash carrying his quads walking across the ring. No. Like these, plus with Andrew Martin, phenomenal performance.
Yeah. Sadly missed. Very missed.
Yeah, it's sadly missed. Then we go to a person that might not be sadly missed. We have Kurt Angle defeated. Ah, fuck. Go read the Google. Put it in the Google machine. This asshole. Fuck him. I'm sorry.
Do we have personal issues?
You killed your wife and kid. Fuck.
I know. I say that, and everyone's going, Ayesha. I'm like, how? Okay, we'll combat this in a most professional. Talk about the match.
Yeah.
And every time you want to say a name, just say Voldemort.
Okay, so. I mean, would Strangler get it? No, that's not good.
No.
Yeah.
But
anyway, that's all I got to say about this.
It was a match. It was a match.
It was a match. And for anybody thinking like, oh, this person should be in the Hall of Fame, whatever, no, just bye.
God. You just it's kryptonite now. Just
bye. But we have, a strong figure in a lot of people's, like, especially female, right? Two strong women battling over the WWF Women's Championship. We had Chyna and Ivory. Now, Ivory, I don't think she accompanied the rest of the right to censor cohorts in the match previous, right? Because she had a match of her own defending her title. And again, this didn't go wrong, but this was exactly what it was meant to be. Ivory basically playing her role, knowing that Chyna had to get over. 2 minutes and 39 seconds is what we got with entrances. But, so yes, this is where we were in terms of women's wrestling in that kind of late 90s, early 2000s, deal, right? Where a women's championship match, when you look at like the last one that we just had, right? WrestleMania Night 1 being headlined by Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, right? This is what the women's revolution is about and what it kind of stemmed from.
No, I mean, the match in itself, in a whole, was a best of moves series for Chyna, unfortunately. Ivory was a bump monkey to the best, but that was her role. And like you said, she played her role extremely well. From the gorilla press to the suplexes and the DDTs, so everything that happened was a best of move series, and it was done to the best of the ability. It was a nice way of kind of like capping off the entire storyline of her neck being broken, the injury, not knowing if she was actually going to be able to wrestle, losing the belt and everything else, and Ivory now right RTC taking over, and it was just a nice little kind of cluster of just events and a nice kind of way of capping it off for the women. But in terms of a match, it wasn't a match. It was just, this is our spectacle. This is our ninth wonder of the world. Look what she can do. Here's a belt, to me. And it wasn't that, it's not insulting of the match whatsoever at all, because I watched that as a kid going, yes, China, destroy her. But it now that I'm older and then I can and look at it back as a worker as well as a fan, it's just like, it was just an advertisement for what they were hoping to do with China probably afterwards, but obviously that wasn't the future that happened. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
and it's funny because Chris Jericho retaining the WWF Intercontinental title in the first match, right? And essentially, that title reign gets ended by none other than China, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Because they do the whole dual.
what a novel idea! Like WWE doing long-term storytelling. Oh, gosh.
I know. What happened? Who was actually holding the pen then?
I think it has a bit of an identity crisis that they forgot that they were the company that brought us like Hogan, Andre, right? Or the Miss Elizabeth, and Macho Wedding, like those visceral type of like emotions. Like they hinged in our emotions. They sat there, Austin Rock, like all this amazing, like long term storyline, long term booking, and they just kind of like, we're just this thing. We're content creators for NBC Universal.
No, but it's weird. A lot of people say that things like that can't work anymore in terms of everyone's attention spans, especially of this generation. We're basically 50-second people. But I always disagree with that, just generally because we've been in lockdown now and people spend hours watching series. Like, if you generally had a short attention span, if this is true, you wouldn't sit and binge watch stuff. So we are able to do it. We are able to still accustomed to it. Can we please have it back?
Yeah, no, 1,000%, 1,000%. And it's funny because talk about, I love the interludes of like tying things together in Mania and what have you, because like earlier in the night we saw Trish Stratus wheel in Linda McMahon, right? And
so creepy.
yeah, oh my God, how cringy was Stephanie? Telling Trish about how she would like her eyes crushed up individual. It was weird. It was just weird.
It was basically the prequel to the Stephanie with Jericho, and even that was nauseating. But seeing this bratty kind of overly privileged Stephanie McMahon $1 billion princess pish was just the bane of my existence when I was little. She embodied every girl that I could ever run into on a bus in Essex. But it was just like her entire being and was just cringeworthy. And she did her job well. She did the job. But it was weird. And to this day, I still don't understand why she sides with her father. Even if you write that on paper, I'm like, no, you're on the wrong. No.
Yeah. It's weird. And even the crispy thing that she did with her hair, like her hair looked like black ramen noodles, like right? You look back, like my wife likes to watch like Adrian Balion or whatever. She used to be a cheetah girl. And then
her. I know her.
And then got with the Rob Kardashian, and then was on like The View or The Talk or something, and now she's a vlogger, whatever. But like during that era, 3LW also had the crispy Robin hair. Like all the girls were doing it.
And the crimps on the hair and the stuff.
Yeah. Whoa, man, 90s, 2000s, what a deal! Hell of a deal.
But the match.
Yeah. So the match, we got Shane with Linda McMahon, and he defeated Mr. McMahon, playing by Stephanie McMahon and Trish Stratus, and Mick Foley was the special guest referee. Uh,
Mm.
Foley was great for what it was, but he was the back, like he was behind what they were about to do. Now, obviously, the tie-in because they had the WrestleMania 2000, they had the four McMahons kind of battle each other, take their charge and whatever, and I believe he might have been Stephanie's charge, so that might be the reason why he's in place here as the special referee. But yeah, man,
Oh,
God.
there we go. He's pausing. I'll take over. You right?
Go for it.
He's the entire.
What I was gonna say is, the two memorable things, right? And we got this played over and over and over, like before they had a new kind of reel to kind of bet against. But we had the Linda coming out of her comatose state and slapping, Stephanie and Trish kind of helping her out. And then we got the coast to coast with Shane, basically putting the trash can on Vince and doing that thing.
Van Terminator. Not the coast coast. No, I will not allow this. Not on this show. Van Terminator.
Oh, what's that?
No, I mean, I just have a personal thing with that move. I'm just like, I get Shane did it well, and he did, but Van Damme did it best.
I agree.
Bro,
I agree. But, and it's funny because, Van Damme at this point doesn't have a home. Obviously, we're seeing Paul Heyman in place in Jerry Lawler's spot, doing commentary with JR, right? So Rob Van Dam is a man without he's essentially a mercenary in 2001 WrestleMania 17, right? Because he's nowhere to be found. He would come in later, and funny enough, would be the opening match of Mania 18, right? But yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
No.
It's almost like Michelle McCool doing the Faith Breaker, aka the Styles Clash, before AJ Styles actually came to the WWF. It's the same deal.
Yeah, I know. But even with the whole match in itself, from the build up to what was going on, marital wise, and then the stuff with Stephanie, and obviously the whole conclusion with it being the whole ECW and invasion thing after the fact. It was just, for me, I just felt very uncomfortable. It was like watching a very weird version of Jerry Springer with kind of brawls. I'm not going to say wrestling because there was no wrestling, with kind of brawls in the middle. Me personally, just because it doesn't really age well now, and I know even Trish Stratus has said to this day she doesn't see anything wrong with what happens. Me personally, the dog barking, the waste and the sewage and the mop stuff, like all the complete beratement of her character in the storyline. Me 5-6 years ago would have found that hilarious. Now doesn't really age well with me at all, especially the dog barking scene. I'm just like
I said, I was surprised to actually find it in its entirety on the Peacock Network, because the licensing with like Limp Bizkit, they didn't blur it on the network. It's blurred out, right? It's some kind of like generic track and everything like that. The old WWE network, but the Peacock network, I guess they kind of kicked the guys in Florida some money because you got to hear it in its entirety. Same thing, this one we probably won't have on the WWE network here in North America, or the Peacock network here in North America, very much longer. When you kind of look back at it and like, oh, okay, that needs to be pulled down.
Yeah, it's just it was because I'm not even gonna lie, like I can remember as a kid probably laughing at that, probably not a lie, 100%. But I just nah. And the fact that she only got a slap at the end. I mean, there was no dick punch. There was nothing. She even get a low blow. She got this wishy-washy work slap that I was just like.
Yeah, but then again, from what I hear, Linda McMahon wasn't the impresario that we believed that, and she purported herself to be, even when she tried to run for Congress in Connecticut and failed twice, right? 11 or $12 million of her own dime to failed senators. So I don't know how much, like the visionary is Vince, right? That's for sure. Linda, don't know what her role is, and it. Reason why I say that is because it's evident now, right? Where especially when you got you know Shane, right? Shane is taking all these crazy bumps and everything like that. Stephanie is, currently one of the CEOs. Linda's nowhere to be found, right? After I think she took a picture, took the family to the White House, to go see the 45th president of the United States. Like, haven't seen her since. Maybe she went skydiving. That's about it.
To be fair, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So that's what I that's what I kind of believe. It's just like she didn't have the concept that the rest of her family did of professional wrestling. She was just kind of there. This slap is kind of evident of such.
But even Trish's slap, even Trish's comeuppance, it was like everybody's final comeuppance. Even the storyline was such a spectacle. The most biggest eye grabbing thing that happened was her standing up. The actual paybacks that happened in the end were really mediocre to the fact that this woman stood up off a chair, and I'm just like, I get that's supposed to be a grand moment, but then everything after that meant absolutely nothing.
Yeah, yeah, So this one is there, but it's funny because at this moment, uh, this is the longest Mania match, clocking at 14:12 because of course it does.
Of
Right? It's
course it
not
is.
nepotism if you own the company and you parade your family out. I mean, Fritz von Erich did it. Just saying. Right? So,
Hey, if
uh,
you're running a promotion, you just save 4 wages right there. All
yeah,
those people.
I guess but I mean, they're dynamic characters, so I'm not mad at it. But actually, taking place of the for many people, this is Mania for them. When you talk about independent wrestlers now or up and coming wrestlers now, this is their moment. This is when they decided that they wanted to become a professional wrestler. It is the TLC match, right? Um, Basically, we have Edge and Christian, and they had Rhino with them, with the Dudley Boys, with Spike Dudley, and the Hardy Boys with Matt and Lita. It was kind of cool. Everybody had their kind of like charge, not so much a manager esque or what have you, but it's they had somebody kind of on the outside. And Edge and Christian and Rhino, obviously, they kind of grew up through the I guess the northeast, not northeast, but like the New York, Detroit, Canada scene. When Rhino was Rhino Richards and what have you. Dudley Boys had their little brother Spike, and the Hardy Boys Team Extreme is flanked by Lita. So it's amazing. But we remember none of this. We remember all of the crazy shit that happened between all three teams.
The simple fact that every interview I've ever listened to after this, every wrestler's always said it's taken years of their life.
Yeah.
This one match, the amount of, but it makes you remember what stupid shit even we used to like. Watching this match made me remember the day I met Robbie Brookside and I showed him one of my matches from Norwich, and I used to do the suicide dive through the ropes, not over because I'm not that. I'm that agile now. I wasn't that agile then, and I did through the middle rope suicide dive, and I used to do it mostly all the time. And he looks at me and went, "Why are you? What for? What reason does this need to happen?" And then I looked back and was just like, "These guys must look at that match and go, what? But did that have to?" You see that spear that I did from the ladder? CGI could have this whole match could have been contacted by George Lucas, and he would have literally just saved them a lot of time.
Yeah, and this one is another fun one, right? Because everybody, like I said, they had their seconds, right? There people on the outside, but also, okay. So when you think about like how this kind of era kind of spawned, right? you had the Hardy Boys, who were like, you
Team
know,
Extreme.
beyond the Brood, the new Brood with Michael Hayes and everything like that, and they were competing for against Edge and Christian for the Terry Reynolds Invitational, $50,000 dangling in a satchel bag, right, above the ring, and that was a tag team ladder match, right? And then it evolved, right? And it's crazy because you knew the Edge and Christian, right? Concerto, they're the chairs, right? The ladders are the Hardy Boys, right? With you know, Jeff taking crazy bumps off of everything that he sees. So there's that. And then tables are the Dudley Boys. Get the tables, uttered by famously by Devon Dudley. So it wasn't just that it was a TLC match, but it was indicative of each man's career, right? Each tag team's career and what they're known for. This would, I mean, if Triple H were here, it'd be a sledgehammer, like a
Yeah.
TLS, right? Sledgehammer, right? So I just love it. I think this is what we were going to, in terms of like character direction and everything like that. When Daniel Bryan had the Eco Championship, right? That was kind of a little nuance to his character, right? So, with that all being said, that's that's what we had here, but it was a lot more violent than Eco time.
No, I mean, like, you saw slight. I'm watching it back now, especially now that you've seen the evolution of even someone like Edge. You saw the slight inklings of how people are now, and I to this day now watching it, I don't know why it took so long for him to become rated R, because you saw the violence, you saw the intensity. It was like, okay, goofy Christian, goofy Edge. Well, they're gonna do whatever they want, but the intensity was all there in that match for every one of these guys in the match. But you literally just saw the future makings of everybody, and it was beautiful just to watch back again.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, that was. I mean, it's funny because there's a lot of Gaga that there's been so much Gaga since that like you kind of forget like what this match actually was for a lot of people. So they got. It, I don't know. Like I don't know if I could put any more like I guess reverberations of how big this match in particular were, because we saw this in every wrestling promotion for the next 15 years.
Yep.
This type of match, for better or for worse,
Yep.
Indies, what have you, we got this match, whether we want it or not. Whether it's the workers that were, again, all of them skilled workers, right? Skilled workers in terms of their acumen in the ring. But since what they say, when you do something, right, it's never going to be as good as the original. There you go.
True.
Yeah, yeah. So in the next one, we have the gimmick battle royal, and this is fun for so many reasons. But for me, my commentary team of my youth were, Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, right? Obviously, Gorilla has passed away up to this point, and we see Bobby the Brain Heenan and Mean Gene Okerlund. Like Paul Heyman and Jim Ross, they took maybe a bit of a sabbatical after calling a show, right? And they come back later, but we get Gene and Bobby. Just amazing because this is the first time that they were on WWF TV since they left for WCW. There you go.
Since they left for the. Why was the gobbledygooker here? Like, for what reason?
Like a Mexican lucha, I got my shit in, kid.
No! Me personally, I don't like Doink, so I prefer Evil Doink because I don't like clowns anyway. Evil Doink was the best. When he turned him face, it was just sickening. It was amazing to see Brother Love. I didn't know right now that whether that ages very well or not. But just to see the amount of, I don't want to say stupidity, because I understand that it's still entertainment. It was entertainment back then. You've got to do something on TV. You've got to do something. But it's just like, how did you watch this? And why was there a Repo Man? And for what reason did there need to be? But it was just nice to see. It was just a blast into the past. It was cool.
Yeah, that's it. And the Iron Sheik, winning because he couldn't go over the top.
It could have gone. It would have broken into 1,000 pieces.
Fisher Price, had those like little wobbly people. They look like eggs and everything, and they kind of waddled around. That was cheeky baby at this particular instance. Good God, we talk and look at like the Great Khali or even Braun Strowman in terms of like watching them walk. Looks like it hurts. Looks like it hurts, right?
I know.
It's just like it's there, but it's it's a Sheik. It's a Sheik. That's it.
It happens. It happens.
The music to my ears, I couldn't give a shit what because we see Bobby Heenan, we see wasn't Bruce Pritchard was here, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot. There was a lot. The Goblin Hooker, all that, whatever. It was all Gaga. It was all Gaga. And it's weird because again, when you think about evolution and all that, well, this match got a lot longer than even the women's title match. So
Yeah.
Tells you all you need to know, right? And look how far we've come. I feel the Matchbox 20 song coming on. Let's see how far we've come. This is how far we've come, right?
Okay.
I think the things and people who have come very far, right? We have me and Mark Callis. Me and Mark Callis of WCW. He's an appearance. Oh, it is the Undertaker. Yes. And he defeats Triple H. This by far not nepotism at all because this one is the longest match on it. It's not even a title match, right? It's secured Triple H. I don't know. I this was just nepotism.
Yeah, I mean, the match in itself, it was weird because it's not even one of me personally. It's not even in the series of matches that's happened between Taker and Triple H. Seeing now into hindsight, it's not even one of the good ones. Like from the series of but obviously progression happens, but it was just chaos upon chaos for no reason, and I didn't really like the sledgehammer spot. To be fair, I thought that was a really kind of a lackluster kind of a finish. I think after all the turmoil, everything that he had done, the restraining order, like Kane basically kidnapping Stephanie, like that's assault, holding somebody over a balcony and threatening to drop them. That you can go to jail for that shit. It was just, I was expecting a little bit more, especially for the finish.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was all fodder for the main event, which we had Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock for the WWF Championship in a no disqualification match. I just, again, it's just weird, right? Like, for a time we had in basketball Kobe and LeBron, right? We had Kobe and Jordan. We had, I'm a San Francisco 49ers guy, so we had two Hall of Fame quarterbacks back to back and Joe Montana and Steve Jones, right? There's not a lot of times where you have greatness on the same plane, and this is exactly what we had. The Rock is once in a generation type talent. Simple Steve Austin is a once in a generation type talent, and they're both here on the same plane. Obviously, Rocky coming after Steve Austin, right? But just being a natural. He's a third generation wrestler, by God. Uh, just great, just great. I'm not mad at this one at all.
I mean, no one's mad at the match for it happening. I just don't get why they had to turn Austin heel, because technically he was never really a face anyway, but that's
Right.
what we keep. I mean, technicalities are technicalities, but there was no need for him to shake hands with the devil. Absolutely no need. But like you said, this is a match that they've tried to, in my opinion, now try and replicate because they've realized from this moment they didn't. I say they. I'm sorry, universe. All known beings. I'm sorry. From this moment onwards, you could tell that there were no stars created. This is the moment that everybody complains about. As somebody who was watching wrestling, as fans who were growing up, you can always remember if someone tells you that you watch wrestling. Oh, you mean Rock and Austin? Oh, you mean Steve Austin? You mean Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock? Well, that was 20 odd years ago. Name me somebody else in that category. And it took a while. Like, people now, you go Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and all the stars that you have now. But I'm just like, no, I'm sorry. In all honesty, because they banked so much on these bona fide, like, diamond gem encrusted gold solid crystal men, workers, wrestlers, entertainers. There was no stars made after this period, and it was just like everybody after that was kind of rushed and force-fed John Cena. There isn't a single person, I don't care what anyone says, there isn't a single person who started going let's go Cena that liked him at the beginning. Until he was force-fed and stuffed down your throat. Roman Reigns is the same way.
Yep.
And these were two organic stars, and it would never happen again, ever. And it's really sad.
No, absolutely. And, you get to be a professional wrestler, of course, things get shaped out or whatever, but like, here's ideally what you envision yourself to be, right? Like, that's kind of it, right? And now, you look at Sasha Banks' previous incarnation of Mercedes KV, it's not too different than the Sasha Banks, right? It's just they figured out a way to refine the character, right? Same thing with Bailey, and I'm talking about, women's wrestlers, but like, hell, the Undertaker, right? It was May Marcellus, right? You didn't even know what the fuck the Undertaker was until he called Vince. It's like, is this the Undertaker? Like, I guess it is. Whatever the hell, right? And even the things that get kind of left by the wayside. Mick Foley is like running the WWF after everybody was talking about Mick Foley for years, and he had done jobs for like the British Bulldogs and everything. In years prior, it was what I'm finding out for WWE's like new show, that, like trying to find archive stuff and whatever. That Mankind's Mask was one of the things that they didn't go with when Mabel, crashed into a Taker's eye and busted his orbital socket and whatever, and he came out with that Phantom of the Opera or whatever. But before they got to that kind of characterization, well, they went with the Mick Foley mask, and then they're like, hey, let's just kind of keep that, and here we go, right? So this is what I'm like in terms of refinement. Brock, Steve Austin, they're that person. It's not like Ric Flair, he's that person. Just some whether it be promoters, people that I work with, when they're younger, they're able to help them refine and define what exactly that was, right? I don't think Joe Anoa'i is either a SWAT person and or a tribal chief. He's part Italian, like his mom's Italian. Like his brother was the shit. No, literally the superhero in training. Shit.
I know.
Sorry, Matt. But yeah, I mean,
it's a good gimmick. I'm sorry. No, it was. I love.
Even Cena. We talked about Cena. Cena's a lot more authentic because he was literally freestyling on a European tour. Steph heard it. Was like, why don't you do that in the ring? And look at him now, right? So that's him. Roman Reigns isn't Roman Reigns, but Stone Cold, Steve Austin, The Rock, they are themselves. Again, aside from the finish, I'm not mad at it, and it's a finish that lived so much in infamy. I think the whole keep Austin as a heel only lasted 2 Monday Night Raws. And
Yeah.
we basically have, you know, yeah. I don't think no. What I'm thinking of is earlier when he first won the championship from Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 13, I believe it was.
Yeah. The
And
double turn.
is it 12? No, the one where he comes out as a corporate champion on the Monday.
No. Yes.
Okay,
Because this one is this heel turn leads into him, remember, screwing over Vince for the invasion. This
right.
one.
Yeah, yeah. So aside from, I mean, it was a good match aside from the finish, which you could say a lot about things, especially nowadays, right? Um, but I'm not mad at it. It happened, and also, we look at Undertaker about, he's looked at as this great, having this great ability to know when the character is about to get stale and switching it up.
Hmm.
Austin wanted to be heel. It wasn't like Vince was like, whatever. Austin was like, let me try something new. And when he did it, he was like, you know that euphemism. That's when you know you fucked up. That's it. That's it.
Doom. The moment when you know you've just fucked up.
Yeah. So I mean, all in all, what did you think about the Mania?
This is like I told you, it is my favorite Mania. No matter how I watch it, how many times I watch it, it always get a 10 out of 10 for me. Even the stupid backstage little skits when it came to like the hardcore title. I mean, this is the Mania where you see Molly get smashed in the face by a door. um Oh, that was to watch that back. The bump is amazing. I'm just like, it's so greatly timed that you're just like, yeah. But there were so many things that were happening. It was a spectacle. That was personally my opinion. The last time that WrestleMania was a spectacle, and 19. After that, no more.
No, 100%. And kind of drawing back to the gimmick battle royal, right? The official list of participants were the Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch, right? Duke the Dumpster Drozy, Blake the Clown, Nikolai Volkov, Tugboat, Lagoon, uh, Earthquake, Gobbledygooker, Brother Love, Michael Hayes, One Man Gang, Kamala, accompanied by Harvey Wippleman, Kim Chi, Jim Cornette, Repo Man, Hillbilly Jim, and Sergeant Slaughter. Now, when you think about it, right, you've got Brother Love, Bruce Pritchard, right? Vince's right hand man for many years, right? Michael Hayes, head of creative, whatever the fuck that means, right? Uh, there's that. You've got Jim Cornette, who at this point is heading up OVW, the developmental system, and later with, you know, like right around this era, a young John Cena and Batista and Randy Orton is under the tutelage of Jim Cornette and Danny Davis. So I think it's fun. So we've got Jim Cornette, Michael Hayes, Brother Love, and then that's kind of Vince's inner sanctum, stands Pat Patterson in one ring, in one match, and then the return of Bobby Heenan and Mean Gene Okerlund. Again,
All the
look at it.
money,
Amazing. Amazing.
all the money in
I
that
love
one segment.
give me old school Raws all day. Like all of that shit. That was my favorite era, so I'm not mad at it. But yeah, your favorite Mania. Uh, is there do you have a second favorite?
It'll be 19, just because seeing Jericho and Shawn finally come head to head, face to face for me, I was just like, it was like a mirror. They were wrestling mirrors. It was beautiful. It's like a dance.
It was a mirror rather than a Jared Tron 5000.
Oh yeah, that poor Jeritron 5000.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that is WrestleMania 17. I think it was a great one. We have Sunday night, like everything, all of the staples that you wanted of this era are apparent. You've got, the Gaga of the McMahon's inclusion. You've got, the TLC, like the Crash TV essentially. You've got Austin and Rock. You've got Triple H and Taker. And then again, I will say it until I'm blue in the face. The return of Bobby Heenan and Mean Gene Okerlund. That's over the moon. That's my Mania moment.
That was it for you. That's all you had to see, and it made you happy after that.
That's it. I'm easy to please. Like again, like this past WrestleMania between Josh Barnett's Bloodsport on Thursday night and then the 2 nights of Takeover, which Takeover night 1 and 2. That's all the fucking shit that I needed. Everything else that I was gonna see at Mania, whatever, But I got Sasha and Bianca. Can't really remember much else. And that's no disrespect to the performers. It's just, when you look at like moments, right? Fucking, the hearing at Wembley at that SummerSlam, right? Of them, Brett and Davey. That's a seminal movement. The marriage of Macho and Liz, and Andre pulling the chain from Hogan. Like those seminal moments, right? Bianca and Sasha are definitely there. Whatever. The rest of the card, again, I cannot remember. I remember Sheamus fucking up the white noise because of the rain and whatever, and almost dropping Matt Riddle on his head. And and then the kick that damn near killed Matt Riddle off of a lion saw. Yeah, that's all I remember. I remember myself.
You remember the moments. That's what you're supposed to do. What did Vince say? We make movies. Be on the map.
Thank you, Vince, man.
We make movies.
Well, just so you know, signing with Vince McMahon, you get signed, and when you get released, you don't even get featured in Nevers. It's just bye, I guess, and then we'll ship your shit in a trash bag.
Oh yeah, I saw that. The thing is, I saw that on Reddit first, and I was just like, oh.
Yeah, that's where we. And BJ Darden says that boot though. No, 100%. That boot. Tougher than a fucking coal miner's glove. Good God. Or whatever the hell the pan, whatever part of Mae Young's body that came out of. That's also tough.
Don't. The visions. Yeah. I can see the slime. Please don't. No.
Jesus
Cheers.
Christ.
Thank you for that.
Anyway, Ayesha, where
yes.
can everyone find out more about fierce females as well as you, Mademoiselle?
More about me, you can type in BigFemVader or Ayesha Raymond into any social media platform, and basically you'll get my beautiful face. Fierce Female Glasgow, also Fierce Females Wrestling. And yeah, stay tuned. I'm sure you see me again soon.
Yeah. Damn right. That time is coming, all right? And when you get to the things of subscribing and all of that sort, I warmly encourage you to go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Ayesha subscribed, right?
Yes, of course I'm subscribed.
Damn right. So be like Ayesha. Go ahead and be a fierce female. No matter what your gender identification is, be fierce in what the fuck you do. Go ahead and subscribe to Fierce Females as well as According to Woods. And if you don't believe me, well, Zeta Zang.
Hey, this is Zeta Zang. Make sure you subscribe to According to Woods YouTube.